Hi everybody, Cheryl and Lady coming to you from the Ladies Garden and Home. And June is busting out all over. I didn't make that up. It's from Carousel. Anyway, it's time for a June tour and I hope you join us. I would have sung that except for I'm afraid of copyright infringement, although I don't know if it makes any difference because I'm not monetized. But anyway, Carousel, June is busting out all over, and I didn't think we would get to this point by the third week of June because it's been actually rather cold here. Even today it was only like in the mid 60s, that's Fahrenheit, but things really are starting to bloom and grow and explode and bust out. So I thought I would start on the deck. And the green stalk is gone a little wild. I'm kind of loving it, don't get me wrong. I heard that these Merlot lettuce were good summer lettuces, so I sowed some, I would say, in mid-May to take the place of the spinach that was here. And it is starting to really come in now, and it's just lovely and beautiful and red. I also haven't picked this in a while, so it looks kind of overgrown and everything, but if you can see, one of the ways you can tell if something is bolting, a lettuce is bolting especially, is if when you pick it, it gets this white, like some white ooze. And I don't know what that's called. I'm sure it's some kind of chemical reaction to it wanting to start making a flower, but it also makes it very bitter. So when lettuce starts to bolt, it starts tasting bitter. I don't particularly like that. I don't mind it if it's just a little bitterness and the rest of a regular nice salad. This butter crunch is definitely bolting. Um, it's really starting to form a flower at the top, and it's got that white oozy stuff. But if you can see behind here, I planted some chard, some Swiss chard, the rainbow Swiss chard. It's all different colors. This oak leaf lettuce is supposed to also be pretty heat tolerant. That's not bolting yet. It just looks like I haven't picked it for a while because I haven't. The patio tomato that I put in here is really doing much better than I expected. It's also bigger than I expected it to be. The arugula has gone to flower. I do enjoy an arugula flower. There's this nutty arugula peppery taste. It's just delicious. The sage is really going crazy. It's flowered. It's very pretty. What I've been enjoying with the sage is I've been picking it, some of the bigger leaves, some of the stems here to allow these smaller ones to grow on and fill out. Oh look, we've got another bud. Sage apparently is very good for blood pressure and cholesterol, but all look at the pansies. These are the pansies that I started inside in February, and they finally bloomed. Thank goodness we've been having a very cool spring because I've been enjoying the pansies, not only these that finally bloomed, but the ones out here on the patio too. I have so many strawberries coming on now. I am so happy with them, but I'm very concerned about this weird fungal spotting that I have here. So to combat that, I have this spray. It's a copper fungicide, and it's supposed to control a whole bunch of different types of diseases. So I think this is either black spot or some sort of rust. So anyway, let's. The blueberry plants, I'm not sure what happened with the blueberries. This this guy here, he's always been a little scrawny, and that's because he went through a trauma when he was just about a year old, and I had brought him inside because we had hurricanes coming, and I forgot to give him water for unfortunately quite a long time, and I nursed him back to health. He did put on some flowers very early on, but as you can see, they really weren't pollinated correctly. So there's not much of a blueberry harvest here. And then this one, what's it called? This is a powder blue blueberry. This is its second year, and it hasn't produced any flowers yet. And it may be one of those varieties that doesn't produce until its third year. The basil is doing very well here with the rosemary. This is the rosemary I propagated from a little tiny plant from last year, and I overwintered it inside. That's really doing well. Basil's looking really good. This is cinnamon basil and purple opal basil. Speaking of basil, this is my 4-year-old basil plant. Just keeps growing and growing. And over here is a paprika plant that I overwintered. I did this along with Mancini the peperoncini, where I brought them inside. They kind of went dormant. They got attacked by aphids. But believe it or not, this paprika lived through it, and it's now showing some signs of flowering. Behind here, my mother gave me this, it's like a trellis type of a thing. And what I decided to do is I planted just June 12th, sugar baby watermelon in here. That's the small, tiny little watermelon. I thought maybe it would be really good kind of crawling up here out of the way of the dirt and everything. So we'll see. Archie the Fourth, the artichoke, which is my single seed challenge, has finally took off. He's growing very nicely. This was my single seed challenge of 2023. Since we're only supposed to start using one seed, I had to try him 4 times before I got germination, but he's really seems very happy here. And here are some squashes. We've got zucchini, a black beauty zucchini, and a couple of golden gooseneck yellow squashes. And these I'm just waiting to plant. These are going to go into where my my first round of potatoes, those grow bags. And then up here in the deck containers, we've got some lovely growth in the tomatoes. The basil's really filling out. It makes such a difference when you prune them the right way. If you prune them above where they have more leaves coming out, could do it here too. And it just makes a nice full plant. Coriander, starting to really look spectacular. And it's starting to get some seed heads, which you can cook with those. Look at how pretty those flowers are. They're very elegant, just kind of in the breeze. The dill is also starting to flower. And basically I'll be starting a new round when these drop their seeds. The oregano I have been harvesting quite a bit and drying. The catnip, I need to get onto the catnip. I have thyme behind here. It's behind the mini greenhouse. You see it? That's growing very nicely, but I need to get in here and weed. I just haven't taken the greenhouse down yet. It's just kind of convenient having it here. These are going to be my fall crops. We've got purple sprouting broccoli, cabbages, Romanesco broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and in a couple of weeks in July, probably mid-July, I'm going to be starting more cauliflower and also some regular heading broccoli. This lemon balm I have to finally get into its final container, but this was so slow growing. I started this from seed on April 5th, and it was just tiny, tiny, tiny until about 2 weeks ago. The chive flowers they're done. They look like they're going to seed. I'm going to be collecting some of those seeds. I know that they're supposed to be edible, but I never got around to eating a chive flower. Ready. Got a little bit of thyme here. And this is a Spice Island rosemary. I had bought this at the flower sale, and it's really growing up nicely. These leaves are starting to really fill in. And then back here, we got the purple opal basil. Oh, it's so pretty. And some yellow marigolds in the middle. So that's how it looks from the other side. We've got mint going to town. The snap peas, they're doing very well. I'm surprised actually, because you can see I crammed so many into these small grow bags. This is chamomile just starting to bud. I had this cement block here, and I was like, well, I don't have any place to put all this chamomile I started. Let's try that. So I did. Oh, and the sweet peas have finally started to bloom. I'm so excited. The parsley is blooming, as well as the carrot. Some blooming going on in the eggplant. These guys are a little dry. I'm going to have to water them tonight. Leeks, and I put a little nasturtium in that cement block. And moving over here, we've got some stunning stuff going on. That's the lily. And look at that. The lavender is just starting. I did a video last year on how I harvest and preserve the lavender, and I actually used some lavender as gifts for Christmas last year. So I'm going to be harvesting all of this, and when I do, all of this stuff that is kind of growing on top of what are otherwise actually very healthy echinacea and borage plants, it'll open it up and give them some air. We also have garlic. Boy, we got everything. There's some calendula about to bloom, some chamomile here that I need to harvest so I can encourage this to keep blooming. This is how I do it. It's kind of easy. Just go like that. And then usually I'm out here, I do this, and then I stick them in a pocket, and then I dry them on a paper towel in the kitchen. And then I put them in a paper bag, and I let them continue to dry on. We've got lovely cosmos down here. More calendula about to flower. Beautiful little borage. That's about to open up. I really like this cosmos, especially this lemon sherbet, I think it was called, color. It's so light and airy and pretty. I have more marigolds here, some of them self-seeded. A little disappointed. I had a hydrangea, a small hydrangea bush here that just did not do well and died. So I planted lily of the valley here in its place, and it actually makes sense. He's right by St. Francis, all of these lilies of the valley, because the reason that they're special to me is because my grandmother used to have them in her garden. She just loved them. And we used to pick bouquets for her and bring them in. I have more sweet peas. They're just starting to get established, and hopefully we'll trellis up this tree. Just a fig named Sue. Not doing too good. I think I told you guys the story. I was hardening him off, and then I needed to move him away from the fence because my son power washed it, and he got sun scalded. It was only in the sun for about 5 hours, but it was enough to really do some damage to his leaves. Hopefully he's going to make a comeback because he's got lots of little buds on him, which will hopefully turn into new leaves and new branches. So he's just kind of sickly looking right now. Coming around the fence, I'm really liking the way that the containers I put on the fence came out. Really happy. They're starting to fill out. There's still room to grow for the rest of the summer. And the impatiens are also starting to grow. It's been very dry here, so and we're expecting a pretty wet weekend, but I've been trying to keep on top of watering them. My petunias are doing very nicely here, except yesterday, as I was deadheading some of them, I noticed, and I'm not happy, some aphids. I did break down and buy some spray. I know I had been using inside the house some dishwashing liquid and water, and it didn't work, but I was at the nursery the other day, and anyway, a lady recommended to me there an organic spray. Dr. Earth, like I said, it is organic, insect killer. Now, one of the reasons why I don't like using this kind of thing as a general rule in the garden is because I don't want to kill the beneficial insects. I am a strong believer on let the ladybugs and the, other kinds of bugs that eat aphids come to the garden and get their fill. But this looks like a bad infestation to me, and I don't want to lose this petunia. So these petunias are looking pretty good. And the lilac bushes are growing. And so is the butterfly bush. Let's put on some nice new growth. Got a lot of rosebuds on the rose plants. I'm liking the way this is starting to really fill out and look. I did have a first flush of roses on this. This is an older plant. This I had for 2 years. The rest of them are all new this year, and they've got some buds on them, so I can't wait to show you when they all bloom. And then the hibiscus, which has struggled. I don't know what it's struggling with now, but it's at least growing, and it's got new growth. So hopefully it'll grow out of what's going on there. This onion is blooming very pretty. I wish some of the other onions that overwintered made it so that they could have bloomed too, but I'm going to be excited to collect those seeds. And these carrot blooms are just out of this world. tomatoes are really starting to get some flowers. The celery, that sure is blooming. Now last year I collected so many celery seeds, I don't think I need any more. But what was nice was that letting them go to seed like this, they really self-seeded quite a lot. And I ended up having to only transplant a few of them, which was good because I actually left the plastic on the mini greenhouse a little too long on a sunny hot day, and I fried all of my celery plants that I had started from seed. So I was very lucky that a lot of these just grew themselves. The beets started coming up. I have 3 different types of beets growing here. I'll thin them out to maybe 3 or 4 per clump. And then I have this DeChico broccoli that I think it was a late bloomer. And then I have some onions. And the fennel is growing very nicely. This bed is finally starting to fill in, and I'm so happy about it. I do think that I went a little nuts and planted just so many beans. I've got red noodle beans here. I have Kentucky Blue Wonder pole beans. These are pole beans in the back. And scarlet runner beans. And then here is a mixture of things that kind of self-seeded from last year's bean harvest, and some bush beans, meaning that they're not pole beans. They might need a little bit of support, but they're not going to have to climb like these guys are climbing. This dill decided to plant itself, and I'm kind of happy because I got more dill. The carrots, they're coming up. Peppers are starting to fill out and get some growth on them, finally. It has been very cool. They don't like it this cool, but they're still growing. And I've got some more beets that I need to thin. These beets were actually sowed about 2 weeks after the ones that I just showed you in the other bed. So they seem to like it here. And the peppers, these 2 are jalapenos. This one I just planted, not thinking it was going to do anything but die, but it's still growing, so I'm going to leave it alone. And these are cherry peppers. I planted a whole bunch of cucumbers in these small bags, kind of as an experiment, not thinking that they would all grow, and grow quite well. So they're already starting to climb. These I had just sitting there on the deck until they were big enough that the animals couldn't come and eat their heads off. These are 4 different kinds of sunflowers. We've got Mammoth in the back, we've got Lemon Queen, we've got Mexican, and I can't remember this one. This is Sunspot. So these are a whole bunch of cherry tomatoes, densely planted, 3 plants per grow bag. It is a bigger grow bag than the ones the cucumbers are in. But as you can see, I haven't really been pruning them yet, and that's bad because I need to get rid of some of these suckers. Although you don't prune a cherry tomato as hard as you do the bigger varieties, you still want to prune them. You want to still have good airflow. So I'll be coming in here and pruning a little bit better. And these will grow all the way up this netting, as will all of these tomatoes in the back here. And these varieties are Kellogg's Breakfast, and back there are the Berkeley Tie-Dye. I've got borage that self-seeded itself. This is getting huge, and I may have to cut it back because I don't want it to interfere with my tomatoes back here. Yeah, we've got a lot of borage going on. Here's the zucchini plant that I transplanted. It's got some flowers on it. Cauliflower, just starting to see some damage from the cabbage moths. I had these covered, I had the brassicas along here completely covered in shade cloth / frost cloth until, oh, I would say the middle of May. When I took them off, there were no white cabbage moths yet because it has been pretty cool. But it was just the last week or so that I started seeing them flapping around. They're not that interested in, interestingly enough, in the ones in the middle here, but it seems to really like that plant. And I think it's because it's on the edge and they can just smell it better. I have some calendula here and some more borage. This broccoli, I didn't have very large heads on the broccoli, but I've been getting some little side shoots, and I've been harvesting them when they're ready and using them, you know, in whatever I'm cooking that night. These petunias are doing very nicely. And in this bed, I have another broccoli. I thought this was Romanesco. It's not. It's just a regular Waltham broccoli. I don't know what I was thinking, but I did harvest its head, and I'm waiting for some of its side shoots. I put some of the golden goose neck squash in here because my cabbage never did anything. In fact, this one was the only one I had hope for. And look, somebody came and ate its head off. I'm going to say it was a rabbit. Everything in here looks a little bit, well, except for this broccoli, it looks a little bit yellow on the yellow side. And so I'm going to make sure that I fertilize this week. Around this side, you can see the scapes on the garlic still. I haven't harvested all of them. I've been harvesting them basically as needed when I'm cooking, and I'm really enjoying them. Coming over here, I planted a nasturtium here. And here's the carrot row. Some of it germinated, some of it didn't, and some of it's still starting to come up. But this was my second planting of these carrots, and these three big ones were the only ones that came up the first time. The peppers are very tiny. These are Hungarian yellow peppers. These three. This is, what is this? This is a great stuff. I don't know what that one is. I might just pull this one and put something else in its place. This is a pimento. Those three actually are pimentos. And this pepper is a keystone. This is a keystone. Let's see, what is this? Sunburst, sorry, that's what it's called, a sunburst. Potatoes are doing very nicely. All different varieties, and at this point you can really kind of start seeing the difference in the varieties. And these potatoes are just starting to flower. And once they start to flower, you know that they are developing their tubers. And it's not too long after that that we can start harvesting them. These 4 black bags on the corners here were supermarket red potatoes, organic, and the ones in the middle are different. There's a French fingerling, and the rest are just, there's a Adirondack purple or something like that. Adirondack blue, that's right. So we'll see. This is a potato plant that's self-seeded, and some self-seeding borage. I actually transplanted this one because it was right in the middle of my path here. These marigolds sure are doing pretty. So vibrant. And the petunias look very nice in this basket here. Well, that's it. Happy summer. Today is the day after the summer solstice, so we are officially in summer. And anyway, I wanted to thank you very much for joining Lady and I in the garden today. And I hope that you like this video, and if you did, please give it a like, and also subscribe if you haven't already. From the Ladies Garden and Home, enjoy your gardening journey. Bye! Say goodbye, lady.